Away we go. Welcome to Chicken Dinner on this Wednesday, the last Wednesday in the month of April. It is time to talk about the Kentucky Derby. I'm Sam Panayotovich at SP Shoot on Twitter, and we have two awesome guests for you, Colin Sheehan and the Staggie Man. They'll be with us in about 10 minutes to talk horses. These guys are in my cabinet of go-tos, as you know, if you've listened over the years. And Staggie actually joined me many years ago, made his Chicken Dinner debut, and gave out the winning horse. So no pressure, none at all. They also have to follow up on Eddie Olczyk's appearance this morning on Bet Sweats. If you missed that, Eddie was awesome, as he always is. We told a story about how a couple buddies were in Vegas. I was living in Vegas at the time, 2018 Derby. Eddie hit the trifecta. $1 trifecta bet paid $141. My one buddy won $18,000. And we talked about that. Eddie also gives his picks. He's got a long shot he likes too. It is the 14 Tistastic. Eddie, one of those guys, though, a lot of sharp people that I respect are saying this is the year for the favorite. And that, of course, is the 8-horse journalism. We'll see what Staggie thinks. We'll see what Colin thinks. And hopefully the success that we have from this episode will match the success from the hockey episode. I went back and listened. I asked Alex Smith, Ian Cameron, and Jarek Rubel for a best bet at the end of the hockey episode. Bingo, bango, bongo. They all hit 3-0 on their best bet. So we'll talk horses in about 10 minutes. I wanted to start with the NFL draft. And no, I'm not going to give you any ridiculous takes on Shedeur Sanders, although I don't ever remember seeing a player open 3.5, close 21.5, and still hit all the numbers if you were an over better. Just an insane fall. Our draft was good. Loveland under 19.5. He goes 10. Mikael Williams under 15.5. He went, he went 11, I think. 9 or 11. Either way, he went under. And I lost the Matthew Golden over McMillan. But I do want to talk about a bet on Tet McMillan, rookie receiver for the Panthers. I made 3 bets after the draft. Fox said, what do you want to do? What do you want to bet? And I said, well, there are 3 that I'm thinking about. I really like this Charger team. I'm going to pull the story up here if you're watching along on YouTube and X. And if you are, give us a like. You can jump into the chat. Any questions, conversations, comments, we'll be happy to get to them. But if you are a fan of what we do, give us a like, subscribe, all that jazz. So here's the story. It is 3 bets post NFL draft. And it's up here on the screen right now. And they pick the headline, they pick the picture. I'm a big Herbert guy. I always have been. I think he's going to take another step forward, and hopefully it's a leap forward. But the first bet that I want to talk about is McMillan, and here it is. You can bet this at DraftKings at -110. I expect this number to get higher. And if you remember last year, I was talking about Rome Odunze. I love these first-round receivers, usually the guys that go top 10. Now, it's not always a top 10 blind bet, but right player, right system, opportunity, touches, targets. Usually these guys are primed to have decent seasons. And Odunze, if you remember, the first number we ever saw on him, the rookie out of Washington, played for the Bears, was 650.5, 650.5. And I remember saying, A, that's too low. B, it's only going to go up. You don't usually see this wave of people that look at a hyped rookie in a souped-up offense, allegedly. It wasn't really that souped up. But people aren't going to come in and bet his under. They're going to bet his over, especially Bears fans who travel well and bet well. One of the biggest fan bases in the country, and they put their money where their mouths are. So Odunze's number ended up getting to 700. Well, you say, 50 yards is 50 yards. Yeah, well, what if it lands 670, 680, 690? I'm going to win, and then anybody late to the party is going to lose. So McMillan's number is basically even money, well, -110 rather, it's flat, at DraftKings. 800. So I need 800, 801, 802, whatever. Anything over 799 is a winner. He's probably their best receiver right now. And that's not saying much in Carolina, but he's a massive dude, 6'5", 215. That's going to be the new security blankie for Bryce Young, who actually played pretty well down the stretch. They benched him early. He took that to heart. He worked some things out, and he actually played pretty well down the stretch, including that back and forth game with Kansas City. Young is going to find this kid a lot. And if he stays healthy, there's no reason he can't get there. Let me give you some rookies in the last 5 years or so and what they did in their first season. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 836. Drake London, 866. Chris Olave, over 1,000. Garrett Wilson, 1,100. Malik Neighbors, 1,200. Justin Jefferson, 1,400. And Jamar Chase, no big deal, 1,455 yards. This is a good bet, boys and girls. And I'm telling you to do it now. I know people don't want to lock up their money on an NFL bet in April. Hell, it's May tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, it is May tomorrow. Fact check. Where is this number early September? I'm going to guess this is not an over-under. This is sort of a band bet. It's 800 plus, but FanDuel I saw had 800.5 minus 114 each way. I hate that shit. I hate when they do that to you. Just make it minus 110. I'm going to guess McMillan's number after training camp, after we see footage and highlights and him being a beast. I think this could be 860, 870 yards. You're going to ask? I'm going to say no. I'm not going to middle it. I like to keep the good bets and see what happens. But that's a bet I would make right now. McMillan to get 800 receiving yards. Kid's a stud. The only reason people were saying he wasn't going to go high was because of some off-the-field stuff and some motor stuff, which I don't care. He's going to be paid a lot of money to play a game. I think he's going to be just fine. The other two bets are sort of correlated, and I'm going to scroll down here. Again, the story's on foxsports.com. Chargers to win the West. I know. The Chiefs are in that division. The Chiefs have won 9 in a row, AFC West titles, and every single year, 7 in a row with Mahomes at quarterback. But anybody that watches the NFL and follows these teams that lose a Super Bowl, generally the next season, weird shit happens. That might be a little bit lazy, but I mean, look at San Francisco. San Francisco was horrible. Injuries didn't help, but a lot of weird shit tends to go wrong that next year. And let me be clear. I'm not saying I like the Chargers more than the Chiefs, big picture. I don't like the Chargers to win the AFC or the Super Bowl. But I think this price right here, plus 325 at Caesars, is a very good look for a team that has completely retooled its identity and its running attack. And Jim Harbaugh, you look at what that guy does early in a state, whether it be at San Diego, San Francisco, Michigan, you look at those first 3 years, when he gets his handprints over a team or on a team, the sky is the limit for this team, at least regular season-wise. Chargers going to Charger probably when it matters most, but I love what they've done. And this could be a top 5 offensive line. Look at what they've done in the draft. I'm going to share the RLEDs tab. For those that don't use RLEDs, outstanding for depth chart and things like that. So look at this line that they've built. Left tackle, Rashawn Slater, first-round pick, 2021. Left guard, Zion Johnson, Boston College, first-round pick, 22. And then last year, they get Joe Alt. They could have these two guys, Slater and Alt, be Pro Bowl caliber tackles for the next 10 years, if everything goes right. Then they need a back. Well, after everybody was saying that Omarion Hampton was going to go 20th, he slides just a little bit. I don't think the Chargers ever thought that they were going to be able to get their hands on this guy, because everybody was saying he's going 20th, he's going 20th. He goes 22. There is not a rookie, and I don't want to use hyperbole here. I'm very careful. I don't think there's a rookie, given the scheme, the line, the quarterback, the coaching. I don't think there's a better rookie in a better spot than Hampton. And you can find him readily available at 15-1. That's your consensus price. There's a 14, there's a 15. If you have, I think MGM has 16, whatever. It opened 20. It lasted 5 hours, got whacked. This kid can do everything a running back needs to do. Some of the comps are really strong too. And I know they have Najee Harris, but Najee Harris is on a 1-year contract. I don't think Jim Harbaugh cares about making Najee Harris happy. Harbaugh and Roman are going to run the fucking football. I like Cam Ward. I like Ashton Genty. I like a lot of these rookies. But look at the team that Hampton comes into. This is a playoff team. This is a team that should contend for a division title. And if he's as good as I think he can be, behind a line that I think is unbelievably talented, this kid's going to ball. He's going to have every chance to be there at the end, and the Chargers will have every chance to contend for a division title. Just stay healthy, stay on the field. He's probably, by the end of September, let's give it week 4, he's going to be touching the ball 20 to 25 times a game. That's my prediction. If that's the case, running behind those monsters on the line, that's a good look. Another interesting market that I saw before we get to Colin and the Staggie, this is divisional specials at DraftKings. And they do, you can bet where will a team finish. Like here it is on the screen. Arizona, 4th place, plus 170, 3rd place, 2.25, 2nd place, 3-1, 1st place, 5-1. They have the exact order, which I'm not doing. That's a dice roll for the most part. Every single team in order. And then they have basically an exacta box, top 2. There were 2 that jumped out to me, and I'm going to go exact on you. Chargers and Chiefs right here, 5-1. Look at the price on KC, though. Man, KC Chargers, 350. That makes sense. But if you want to put the Chiefs on line 2, you're rewarded, naturally. So I like this Chargers and Chiefs look at 5-1. And I am the furthest thing from a Bears homer. But if you can put the Packers and Vikings out of the way, I'm not going to get insane and say Bears division. But if you do Lions 1, Bears 2, plus 850. Not a bad idea. So those are the 2 that I saw. You got to give credit to books like this who take risks with these markets. I mean, you put a price up and take a bet. Now, I don't know if it's a big bet, but Detroit, despite losing both coordinators and a lot of coaches, still has the most talent in the NFC North. I think Chicago, if Chicago does what Chicago's supposed to do, and this offense hums, it's going to be a fun season in Chicago. And their defense will be better if their offense can generate points and take leads. It's easier to play on D and unleash your pass rush when you're in front. I can't wait to see what Ben Johnson does with Caleb Williams and all the weapons. I mean, think about the team. I was looking this up the other day. The 2022 Bears offense was putrid. Here are your leading receivers in 2022. Quarterback, by the way, by Justin Fields, a guy who couldn't hit an open target. Your leading receivers in 22. Cole Kmet had 544 yards. Darnell Mooney, 493. Equanimous St. Brown had 323 yards. David Montgomery, 316. Dante Pettis, 245. Chase Claypool, 140. Byron Pringle, 135. That is hot garbage. Look at the team this year, though. Look how far they've come in a very, very short period of time. You've got DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. I love the pick of Luther Burden from Missouri. You got Colston Loveland, who's a pass-catching machine at tight end. Kmet can still grab balls. They address the line, and they've got, a stable of backs that they like. But if everything goes right, this could be a playoff team, and this could be a team that finishes second. That's all I'm saying. That bet, Detroit and Chicago plus 850, worth a little bit of pizza money, as the kids say. All right, that's enough rambling for me. You're here to talk ponies and horsies. So let's bring in from Trust the Profits, my former teammate in essence, Colin Sheehan. What's up?
What's up, Sammy P?
It's good to see you, buddy. Good to see your smiley face. And then joining us again on Chicken Dinner, in the case that work found out he was doing this, he couldn't come on camera. So we have to deal with the anonymity of the Staggie man back on Chicken Dinner. What's up, partner?
Hey, Sammy, how are you?
I love that you're both here, and I know you're on different horses, which is great. I hate having these conversations with people that all say the same thing. And I know, Staggie, I joked with Colin, I know he's going to talk about the Japanese horses because that's his thing. He's got a Japanese horse affection, if you will. But let's start with you, Colin. Somebody coming into this naked, hasn't done any homework, hasn't looked at any PPs, has done no homework at all. What's the first thing they should be paying attention to in this year's Kentucky Derby field?
Well, I think the fact that what you just said is the exact point. You either feel that journalism is an absolute standout, possible Triple Crown winner, or you don't. And if you don't, you could then probably go 15, 16 different options in this race. And that's why you could talk to 10 and 15 different people and get completely different horses that they're all on. And that's what makes this race so exciting, so intriguing. I think the other thing that will be important that we might dive into is the setup of the race, where the horses have drawn. There's a lot of speed on the inside. Journalism is number 8, going to be able to sit off of that inside speed. And then you've got a lot of really quality closers on the outside. So there's pace dynamics and there's intrigue with all the runners that have made it this far. And like I said, journalism running out on the West Coast, I think he's only faced 30 horses in his 5 races. So that's where people will start to kind of make the excuses why journalism can't win. And at that point, look at the odds. I mean, a horse like Sovereignty, who's actually been my horse. I know I had that Japanese love. Sovereignty's been my horse since actually last year. And Sammy, I remember when I did this for you the first time, I told you I don't do the future bets. You asked me. This year I did some future bets on Sovereignty. You always hope the horse just makes the gate. I'm feeling pretty good about my future bets with Sovereignty. So I think that's where you have to start. You have to decide on journalism. The favorites they haven't won like they used to, haven't won since 2018, where I think they rattled off 4 or 5 in a row, but they're always in the money. So I don't think you can just completely toss journalism. He's not that type of horse, in my opinion. But maybe you can beat him and you include him in your exactas and tries, and that's how you make the money on Derby Day.
Edzo was saying this morning on Bet Sweats, I am not a favorites guy. And he's not. I've known Eddie a long time. He hates favorites. When he likes a favorite, I pay attention. And he said that this horse is the class. So we'll see. Anything can happen in this 2-minute race. Staggie, same question to you. Coming into this blind, somebody hasn't done any work on this. Where do you want to start?
I mean, any work on this is kind of tough, as you know, a regular that follows it pretty much every day. I think, Colin, you can probably agree to that. We study this day in and day out. It's our passion. The first thing I look at, I mean, not necessarily if you don't have a PP in front of you, I think that's kind of critical, but
Speak
like
for yourself.
Colin said, I mean, if you don't like journalism, then you look elsewhere. There's 16 to 19 other options here that really have a shot. But if you love journalism, I mean, he's going to get the trip. I mean, looking at PPs and pace scenario, that's the first thing I look at in the Derby. I mean, who's the speed? And I see abundance of it, 5 to 6. And then you hear some of the human aspect of trainers and jockeys. And that's what you got to take in corporation of, you know, are they going to send their horse to the lead? Are they going to rate their horse behind the speed? And that dictates a lot of decisions as a handicapper. If that means closers are going to close into that pace, are the speed going to hold that day? In my mind, looking at it on paper, it looks like this is going to be a speed duel fest. So that should set up some nice closers from the outside, or even journalism is going to get a perfect trip, in my opinion, here. So I'll leave it at that. I did tweet out earlier today that journalism is my pick. So it's kind of funny that Colin is, you know, I don't think he's a journalism guy, but I am at this point. But Eddie O is on the same thing here. I just don't see journalism. If he gets the trip that I envision, I tweeted that out as well, the pace scenario. I just don't think he's getting touched here.
Well, I think to Colin's point, though, I don't think he's keying him out. I think he just likes maybe somebody else on top, which is fine. And I think at the end of this show, I'd like to build a bet, and we can maybe work on it together. Maybe we can build like an exacta box or a trifecta box and put our brains together and see what we come up with. But I understand, you know, zigging when everybody zags. I totally get that. And people are going to bet this favorite. I mean, morning line, he was 4-1. He could go off 3-1. I don't think he's going to get less popular as we get closer to Saturday. But if you're not playing journalism to win, Colin, who are some numbers that you do like? What horses?
Well, I'll start with my choice, and that is Sovereignty. This is a horse that I don't want to overlook the fact that this horse has won on the Churchill Downs dirt. I don't think that can be looked past. Sovereignty has been running in the Florida circuit, ran in the Fountain of Youth, a race that he won at the last jump. Yeah, this is a horse that's going to be coming from behind. I think he has more tactical speed than people are giving him credit for. So I don't think he is going to be all the way as far back as others might. Sired by Into Mischief, who generally is good at getting that classic distance, as they say. Then last time out, ran in the Florida Derby. I actually gave a little something to Mike Manansky, who asked me to give him some information on Sovereignty, knowing that I was high on him. And I said he had already qualified for the points to make the Kentucky Derby going into the Florida Derby. So it wasn't a race that he needed to go all out to get into this race. He also didn't have his jockey on that day. Junior Alvarado is the jockey that's been riding Sovereignty. He had a wrist injury going into the Florida Derby, so Manny Franco was aboard. Manny Franco afterwards, kudos to Sean Patrick Nolan, who's the insider on Trust the Profits, said that Manny Franco said this horse didn't even like the Gulfstream track. And we know that he likes the Churchill Downs track based off of that effort in October in the Street Sense. I think he was morning line 5-1, and see now he's at 12-1 in the early betting. This is a horse that I'm really high on. The fear for Sovereignty is two things. One, the pace. There's a lot of early speed, but I do think Journalism is going to be ahead of Sovereignty. I think Journalism is going to get that first jump. That obviously concerns you. And speed figures, if you're a speed figure player, I use Equibase speed figures. He hasn't had 100 yet. He's gotten a 99 in that Street Sense, a 98 in the Fountain of Youth, 94 in the Florida Derby. Like I said, didn't need to absolutely win that race. Came late. If the race was any longer, Sovereignty's winning that. So I don't think distance is a concern. You just hope he gets a clean trip. And we've seen what you need, such as Mystic Dan flying up the rail, or a horse like Rich Strike. And you always see those beautiful overhead camera shots of those horses that had to weave their way through traffic. Those are anomalies to me. That's not really where you want to be. And that would be the concerns I have for Sovereignty. But I'm taking a horse at 12-1 over Journalism. Journalism, I can't, there's not much I can say against him. I made my money on Journalism in the Los Al and the San Felipe. I'm really high on him, but I'm going to go with Sovereignty. Journalism last time out really experienced, although it was only a 5-horse field in Santa Anita, they gave him as much trouble as they could. He was steadied, he was shuffled, he was bumped, he had to trip 3 wide, and he still overcame all of that. The other point I'll make is I think Florida is the best region of talent this year. So West Coast, you're only going against 5-horse fields. To me, Florida is where the most talent has come from. Burnham Square left Florida, went and won the Bluegrass, for example. So I'm putting some stock in the horses that are coming from that Florida region as well.
2-part question, Staggie. One, why are you not fazed by this field outside of your horse Journalism? And the second part would be, if somebody were to challenge him and give him a push, who is it?
Yeah, and like I'll go back to the first thing I kind of talked about with speed. If they go guns blazing early and they hit 45, 46 to the half, I mean, can Journalism hold on? He's going to be the one to catch in deep stretch. If they're going 46, I mean, he's going to have to make a move early. And does that make him leg worry in deep stretch? And I think that's probably the big question. With his tactical speed, I think he's going to be in good shape early. If they go 47 and change to the quarter or the half, I think that sets up more perfect to his game. But I think the first question that we need to discuss is, looking at these horses, and I see Bob Baffert's got 2, and he's the king of the West Coast, and he's had a couple others that were highly touted horses that didn't make it to the Derby here. Barnes is one of them. I'll speak to what Colin said about the trip of that Journalism had. I mean, they boxed him in. They tried everything possible to get him off his game, and he just kept fighting on a track that normally favors speed. So I think that's kind of where I was. There's a lot of factors that go into this. I just feel like the best horse is the 8 against this field. But I do, if it gets leg worry, I think there's a couple options here. If they do go 46 and they go fast early, I think the wise guy horse everyone's talking about is the 3, Final Gambit. And I think that horse has the exact thing that Rich Strike and that Colin was stating, the weaving through traffic. That horse is going to be I wouldn't be shocked if that horse is 25 lengths off the lead early on, the 3. From the Jeff Ruby Stakes that he missed the break, in the race before for his maiden, he missed the break, and he's coming flying late. I think this horse has a chance if they're going real fast early at a big price. I actually have them highly up here on my ratings scale here. If they go slow, that's what I base everything off of. I think actually the Baffert runners have a big chance. I know everyone's talking that, Citizen Bull on the rail. I don't think personally he can get a 1.25 miles, just based off last out at the San Anita Derby, that he just didn't look his normal self that he was last year. But the one that struck me was kind of Rodriguez. I think he's going to be the one for Baffert that's going to be sitting right off of it, and the one early to be the one to catch that the 8's going to be going after. So if they go slow early, Bob's going to be in front in the Derby, and we know how that goes. It's going to be tough to catch him in deep stretch. But some other ones that I'm looking at as well, that everyone's talking about, Sandman. The last 2 races he ran, 6-1 at the kind of third selection. He's gotten blazing first quarter, expectations of kind of what could happen here in the Derby, where he could definitely be coming late. But his runs at Churchill Downs have been kind of mediocre. That leads to sovereignty, right? Colin, I think you're spot on here with this horse. If he races any kind of way back to the street sense, I think the 8's in deep water if they go fast early. So I think you're set up well there.
And one thing to make note of is it's Wednesday, right? I lose track as the week goes along. I'm burning the candle at both ends here, trying to maintain 2 kids, a full-time job, and get all my handicapping in. I quickly went through the results as I was waiting to come on here, and early speed has been holding yesterday and today. Tomorrow's Derby, Friday's Oaks Day. So you want to pay attention both Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday leading up to the Derby. Are the horses that are getting out to the front end putting up 22 and 23 and 45 and 46, and are they hanging on? That's something that you absolutely want to make note of as the day's going on and as you get close to the Derby.
Is Derby a thing, or did you just make that up?
Oh, it is. It's a big thing.
That's a thing.
Today's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday.
Oh, I knew Wednesday. I've never heard Derby before. Maybe I'm showing my novice. I do look. Before we do anything more on this Derby, I want to reiterate that these 2 guys are awesome at what they do, and I think the worst part about guys like you 2 is that you come on these shows usually around the big events only, but you guys are grinding and making money, week over week, month over month, and everybody puts the stock into the Derby. It's kind of like being a golf handicapper. All right, who do you like to win the Masters? It's not fair. I know you guys would probably talk about races down the board or at different tracks, but I do think it's funny that, and you probably are already gotten these texts like, I got $100. What do I do? From a guy who probably expects to lose. But, these races are the toughest races to break down. And I do want to give you guys credit for coming on, facing the music, win or lose. But I imagine you guys have a lot of people reaching out as we get closer to Saturday, just because everybody wants a piece of the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, absolutely. It'll probably start, it starts early in the week. Have you done your Derby work yet? And then Friday, Saturday is when you start hearing people you haven't heard since last year. Hey, who do you like Saturday? Who do you like? And then you miss it, and it's like, oh, you suck. I'll talk to you next year. It's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's a great friendship, Staggie, when you get that 1-year text around Derby time.
Yep. I already got a couple already. But I want to make one comment back to Colin there about they've won route race so far this week, and they went 48 to the half, and the closers still came and got it. So again, keep your eyes out. This is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and guess what? There's rain in the forecast. So buckle up. It could all change in a matter of a day. So Wednesday week, it's so hard to be like all in on one horse until you read what the track is doing. So, yeah.
Follow-up, very simple question. Might be a dumb question, but that's okay. Who does the rain help, if anyone?
Japan, baby.
Oh God, you were waiting for that question, weren't you?
You transitioned that perfectly.
Okay, go ahead. Talk about Japan.
So, Sammy, we started this, I think, 3 years ago. And then the last 2 years, I've told you to watch out for the Japanese horses. They burst on the scene in the Breeders' Cup. I picked Dermasoto Gake 2 years ago. He finished fifth. Not terrible. He actually had a really good race that day. Last year, I picked Forever Young, who I could argue right now is actually one of the best older dirt horses in the world, not just here. And he finished third that day. I would argue he should have finished better based on some trouble he had coming down the stretch. So although you just asked people want the winner, I take credit in picking a horse that A, finished third, and then B, has gone on to continue to race and race well. I can't this year just be like, no, Japan's not going to win, because I know what's going to happen. I absolutely know. So I've looked into the two. You've got your number 6, Admire Daytona, and number 7, Luxor Cafe. I think for me, it's really easy to just go and take Luxor Cafe, who's beaten Admire Daytona. If you visually watch what this horse did last time out in Japan, coming down the stretch, he's quick. He is very quick. That was a 1 1/8 race. His sire is American Pharaoh. We all know the success that horse had. And I will add that in the past, usually Japan brings their horses over to the Middle East, and it's a very taxing travel to go from Japan to the Middle East and then come over here into the Derby. This horse did not do that. This horse is run strictly in Japan and is now coming for the Kentucky Derby with the jockey Magic Morera, who's very capable on the dirt. Can be forwardly placed. I think he can sit right inside journalism, right off that speed. And 15-1, I'm not backing down. I mean, I kind of just have to live with this now. He's just going to be, the Japanese horse is going to be on my tickets forever. I'm not as high on Luxor Cafe as I was last year with Forever Young, but I think this is a horse that I don't think you want to just cross off because he's coming from Japan because of those reasons.
I'm going to get you
3 for 4 on the wet dirt. 3 for 4 on the wet dirt.
A very small rising sun flag. You can put it right over your left shoulder. It needs to happen, and it will happen.
It will.
If one of these horses hits. Staggie, same question to you. If it gets muddy, who do you like?
There's been 4 American horses that have run in the slop out of the whole field. So that's including the 2, that's the 5, both speed. That's also the 13, and that's also the 16. So there's not a lot of data here to say how these horses will do in the slop. I will have to agree with Colin. It favors Luxor Cafe. I mean, that horse, I watched the replay last out. I mean, in a hand ride, I don't know who he beat. I don't know all the competition, how well. But he won in a hand ride. And if it starts raining, I know the forecast is cloudy for Saturday, but there is going to be some rain this coming, Thursday, Friday. But if it does, there's not much data out there. I mean, there's a lot of pedigree, right, that everyone can look at, but every horse in here pretty much has solid pedigree, right? I mean, they're the best of the best. But I mean, it has to favor the 7. It has to.
Let's take some questions here from the live chat. Daniel Thompson is watching on YouTube, and you can join the chat if you'd like. He says, American Promise broke the track record of Colonial with 1:46, 1 minute, 46 seconds. Why is he being overlooked? Anybody can take this.
So I'm glad he brought him up, because this has been my long shot for quite a while. And I was on American Promise that day in that race. 2 things over the course of actually this week that have made American Promise drop down on me and take that long shot. I have another long shot that has taken his place. First of all, that race was only 1 turn. Vinny, who does some shows with me, that race was unique. The 1 1/8 is usually 2 turns every other track. On that day, it's only a 1-turn race. And I think if you go back and look at the 2-turn races that American Promise has had, the success isn't as much there. He's also won on days where the track has really been more for horses that are on the front end, as we were talking about having a track bias day of using Equibase. It'll tell you that. And on his 2 victories, both F+ on forwardly tracks. That was also a unique. That meet was only 3 days. They moved the Virginia Derby from the summer or fall on the turf and made it one of the Derby prep races. They opened the track for 3 days. They ran the Virginia Derby. You got your points, and now he's in. He's trained by Dwayne Locust. You can never argue the coach. And he's sired by Justify were some of the reasons that I was on American Promise, but I've kind of backed up now a little bit with that opinion. I don't know, Staggie, if you're in or out on American Promise.
American Promise, I mean, I was literally going to say it's a one-turn race that they're going to go quicker than a typical 1 1/8 race. But I mean, what I saw, I mean, Sam, if you want to pull up the polls, I mean, I saw 9-1. I saw he's getting hammered from 30-1 money line. He's fast, right? The question is, can he keep up? That's my expectation, that he will be pressing this pace to make it go fast, but there's other speed in here. He can't just walk out there and get this easy speed favoring trip that he had previously, but he is one that has won on the muddy surface. So if it does rain, there might be some hope there for him. So, but 9-1, I can't take 9-1 on the 5.
I see 13 now at TVG.
Okay.
The other concern about American Promise, and his jockey's his first time in the Kentucky Derby with Nick Juarez. This is a big horse. He's got to get into his stride. If he gets into his stride, he's dangerous. But in a 20-horse field, you know what happens to a lot of those horses. You're going to get bumped off. It's going to take him a bit to get back up to that high speed, and I think that could be a concern for him as well.
I'll never forget Staggie. This is 2018. To your point about big horses, he was texting me. You know, we do our show and then we have our conversation off air, and we were talking about Justify, and he just sent me this picture of him looking like Hulk Hogan. And I think, Staggie, you said, look at the cock on this guy. He ain't losing. he
was massive.
Holy cow, the trip that he had in 2018. He was incredible. So I'll never forget that. Your handicap of Justify's wrench to get us home in 2018. This is a two-part comment from A. Dumont on Twitter, who leads with, Stags is still not over the maximum security nightmare from 19. I'm not either, by the way. I'm not either. But he does have a question. What about the 9? And, of course, the 9 horse is Burnham Square, who's currently 20-1. Burnham Square. Feels like a sneaky closer play here from A. Dumont. Anybody want to follow this one up?
I got to follow it up first because that's painful. That was utterly painful. It put me in ruts for the next 3 years. Yes, he probably should have been disqualified, and he was disqualified, but man, oh man, that horse ran huge that day. The 9, I mean, he's been running some very solid races. I think the issue here is he had the pace set up at Keeneland. He had it set up. It took him, it seemed like, forever to get there. The wheels were spinning. I felt like in the outside. Maybe that day that wasn't where you're supposed to be, but I thought he had a perfect setup for that race and did get up in the nick of time. I just maybe think there's better closers in here, in my opinion.
I love this horse. The price that me and the guys on the channel are really high on. Yeah, the race set up, but that was on a day in the Bluegrass when the speed up front was holding. And that is the same case on the day in the Holy Bull. So when a lot of these horses like Rodriguez, who's won on the front end on tracks that were favoring horses that were on the front end, Burnham Square is one of the few horses that has gone against the track bias and been able to get there. To win, you know, I'm not sure, but absolutely exact a try for me. Burnham Square is one of those ones that I'll be looking to get in. Brian Hernandez aboard, who was your winner from last year's Derby. I'm all in on Burnham Square as being one of my prices to put in the mix.
Kevin agrees with you on YouTube. I think if Burnham Square gets the fastest pace possible, he may get there in time. Let's talk closers we like and long shots we like. Everybody wants a long shot. That's the number one question I get coming into this. Who am I going to get rich on? I don't have that answer. Maybe you guys do. And it doesn't have to be an outright, as we know. It could be just a horse to hit the board. If we get journalism to hit with a long shot, that's going to explode the exacta. So whether it be a closer we like or a long shot we like, Colin, you go first. Check both those boxes if you can.
Yeah, closer for me is obviously Sovereignty. That's who I said I want on top. So I can't pick another closer if I tell you that Sovereignty is going to be the winner, because then I'm just throwing out every horse. And then at the end of it, I guess that's the way to go. Some people do that. Then
I like all 20.
I can just clip off that 15 seconds and say I picked the Derby winner on Chicken Dinner. But Sovereignty would be the closer that I want. You know, there's a lot of talk about Sandman. He's taken money both from your fans of the band, and then I believe that there's a TikTok or somebody out there that has like 33 million followers who's pumping up this horse. So I think the money is going to be coming in on Sandman. I just can't get past the trouble he's had getting out of the gate a few times. He's going to be in the back anyways, but I'll pass on Sandman. And then for a price, you know, there's two horses that like I said, I was on American Promise. As you start doing our work, as Staggie said in the text last night, I'm in the lab, and this is what we're doing late night. There's two horses that I have my eye on right now, and feel free to follow me, because I think this will possibly change by Saturday. One is number 12, East Avenue. This horse was your favorite going into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year. Really struggled in that race, a race that the number 1 Citizen Bull had won. Comes back in his first race back in February in the Risen Star, is the favorite again and absolutely lays another egg, finishing 22 lengths behind a horse by the name of Magnitude, who's off the trail. Then he went and ran in that Toyota Bluegrass and went on the front end and put up 22.46 and hung on for second in that race. He's 20-1. I think people are going to overlook him. I think you talked about how great Justify looks. This is a horse that's going to have the looks on the track. And then the other one's the 10 Grande. This is Todd Pletcher, Johnny Velasquez, Hall of Fame connections there. They connected for Always Dreaming a few years ago. The Knockstar that this horse didn't run as a 2-year-old, only Justify and Mage have been able to win without having that foundation. But last time out, he ran in the Wood Memorial behind Rodriguez. He was wide around both turns, like really wide. So that race was 1.8 miles, but he ran 17 feet longer than the winner on that particular day. Curling with the sire, the Dam is Journey Home out of a War Front. Those are two that I kind of have circled right now. They're both right now at 20-1, at least on the morning line. I don't know what the live odds, but 10 and 12 would be two that I'm thinking about.
Grande 18-1, East Avenue 35-1. Current check on the price. Same question to you, Staggie. Closer, long shot, question mark.
All right, closer's got to be for me, Final Gambit. I know I mentioned him earlier. I think that horse has a big shot for Brad Cox. I know he just won the Dubai World Cup. I think this horse had some humongous strides. Granted, it's at Turfway Park. Granted, he's not running the dirt. He's not had any, this distance. But I think he's going to be saving all the ground. I do have some concerns about breaking out of the gate. He's got some speed around him that he should be able to easily find a cozy spot on the rail. It's just a matter of, is he going to be 20 lengths back, 30 lengths back? I really hope he's not. But I think that one has a big shot for me. Another horse I will throw on here is the 13, Publisher. And it's odd because he's a maiden. He has not won a race, and he's in the Kentucky Derby, trained by Steve Asmussen. He gets a Ryder Ortiz Jr., which it's got to be a plus.
Not in the Derby.
I know, but you never know. He's got American Pharaoh is the sire. I think at Churchill Downs, he was a growing horse early. I think he's finally getting into his stride. At 30-1, I don't see why not Publisher can't be there. If the speed's there, it's going to be a wild finish. If this race goes 45 to the half, 46 for the half, you might as well throw your program up in the air and just say who's coming, because it's going to happen. And it's just a matter of who can dodge the ones that are going very slow on the final turn. That's the key. Who can get through and who can get a sustained run with their full stride going late. And that's what it's going to turn into.
All right, so Colin, I'm going to let you make your own bet. Staggie can make his own bet wherever you want to go, whether it's a win, it's a box, whatever. Somebody texts you tomorrow morning, and says, "What's your favorite way to bet this race?" How would you respond to that?
There's two ways. I'll try to take advantage of my strong opinion with Sovereignty, which I didn't do when I came first on your show with Epicenter. I did an epicenter key exacta overall, and I didn't back it up. And that's the year Rich Strike won with epicenter underneath, and that exacta played $2,000.
Your dad did it, right? Didn't your
my
dad do
did
it?
My dad did do it, and he's texting me going, "Did you have it?" And there's nothing worse than if I gave everybody this pick, right? And then I don't play it, and then they're texting me going, "You're the best, and you just want to go downstairs and cry, going, "How did I not have it?" So that's what happened that year. So that's what I would do with Sovereignty, just a simple exacta key box Sovereignty with everybody. And I know I would not recommend that as a betting strategy for those of us that are playing this every single day. You don't do that. You don't need to press the all button. But this is the Kentucky Derby, and we've seen what could happen, and I'm not going to let it happen again. And then I would probably hone in on a few of those. And, I'm kind of like an exacta daily double player. I'll be taping my daily double show tonight, which will be the race before the Kentucky Derby, going into the Kentucky Derby. So that'll come out tomorrow on Trust the Profits for those of you that are not just tuning in for that Kentucky Derby. But I think we put the horses that, although we had some differing points, I don't disagree with Staggie. I think Final Gambit's one that I would want in the mix. Luxor Cafe, so that's 3, 7. Journalism, like I told you, he's the favorite, but the favorites do well in this race. Burnham Square, I'll probably at this point go East Avenue over Grande and put them with Sovereignty as a box. So those will probably be the 4 or 5 that I'll work on boxing up together. And then the daily double, there's a horse called Running Bee right now in the race prior who I have my eyes on. So maybe do a little Running Bee into Sovereignty for daily double.
If you're watching on YouTube and X, that is the YouTube page for Trust the Profits, youtube.com/Trust the Profits. And you can follow Colin on Twitter at CSheehan45. Staggy.
There's videos there, Sammy. We've done a spotlight video on every single horse. So if you have a horse you like, find the video and you'll get to hear what all of us have to say about that horse.
You should see Staggie's video content. It's just him like blacked out because you can't see his face. He's just sitting in a dark room with a bag over his head talking about the ponies.
Gosh.
Okay, look, you've given more winners on this show than anybody horse-wise. So you tell me, what's the move on your end?
I mean, to keep it simple, I usually I get a text from one person. He always says, "Give me 2 horses," and he does the exact same thing both times. $100 on each horse. Depending if one might be okay, I might have a stronger opinion than the other. You'll divide it, whatever. The 2 I give is the 3 and the 8. If that's how simple you want to make it, and just say, "Hey, I'm tracking 2 horses to win, 3 and the 8." Obviously, if the 3 hits, kaboom. 8 hits, you're happy, but it is going to be the favorite. I'm hoping to get 4-1. I don't know if I'm going to see that. I am going to be an exacta player. I think 2 years ago with Mage, I had the exacta and try. I don't usually do that. But this is the Derby, and that's kind of what everyone wants to have on their tickets and their slates, and everyone wants to hit the big trifecta and superfecta. But I think an exacta 8 on top with 3 Final Gambit, 4 Rodriguez, 13 Publisher, the 18 Sovereignty, and the 7 Luxor Cafe. And that's kind of what I would do, and play it for a good amount too. So this is Wednesday again. The final, who's hitting the button, it would be Saturday. So if I had to give one out, that's what I'm doing right now. Keep it simple. I mean, if you really want to get, a long shot and you want to play to show, I really don't suggest to show. That's just not how you make the big money here. I would play to win is the 3. If that's going to be what you want, high ROI, that's what you go with. But I think the 8's just way too good in this spot that I think you got to go on top with exactas.
Confirmed. It is still Wednesday for the second time on the show. Still Wednesday. Okay, so I am in my account right now, and I sort of want to take a little bit from Colin, a little bit from Staggie, a little bit from Eddie, and then play the favorite. So I came up with a $2 exacta box. We can make some changes, but just kind of ripping through this and building this on the fly, as I often do. I've got a $2 exacta box, race 12, with the 3 Final Gambit, the 5 American Promise, the 8 Journalism, the 14 Tiztastic, and the 18 Sovereignty. Do we like that or do we hate that?
As I said, I can make cases for so many horses in here that I would say I like it because I mush, and if I say I don't and you change it, that's absolutely what's going to come up.
I thought for sure you were going to say you hated it because there's not enough Japanese flavor in there.
Well, it did cross my mind when you skipped right over and went to the 8 and used the 5 instead of the 7, but that's okay.
Well, I got your 18 in there for you. Okay, so Colin's going to add, a rising sun twist to his. Staggie, how about you? 3, 5, 8, 14, 18. Any issues there?
I try to look kind of foresee kind of what those payables will be. If you beat the 8, I think that pays balloons if you beat the 8 in that spot. If you get any of those runners, even if the 18's in there and he wins the race and you somehow get 3, 5, 8 or 3, 5, 14, I'm sorry. I mean, that's going to pay 300 at least.
What to do when you're betting horses, because I know a lot of the viewers just tune in for the Kentucky Derby. When you go into where you're betting, you can go to something called probables, and it'll tell you what the exactas will pay out. So rather than just boxing all those horses, what you might want to do is put more money on journalism over the horses that you mentioned and journalism under the horses you mentioned, and then box the other ones. That's kind of how I play those. So that way you're making you got to make the math, as they say.
I totally understand it. Although I assure you, there are many people listening right now wondering, what the fuck did you just say? Like somebody's like, what? He might as well be speaking Chinese. I get it. I think a lot of people though, guys, that are casuals to the horse game, I think people are intimidated. And I think a lot of people log into their account and they see exacta box, exacta wheel, exacta key box, and they don't know what to do. They panic and then they bet stuff that they don't even know what they're betting. But I do think that's a good call. And you probably could edge out a little bit more profit. Trust the profits. So that's certainly something to pay attention to. The last thing I wanted to ask about, you always have to have this conversation. If there's a scratch and we see the 21 Baeza,
let's go.
I'm being told he's gonna make the race a whole lot more interesting, and it will definitely be a much different trip. If he gets in there, the 21, how does it change the race?
I'll let Staggie talk about how it changes the race, but I have to get this in because I'm glad you brought up Baeza, because I just tweeted out within the last hour. I'm a mile from Suffolk Downs here in Boston. Baeza, his dam, the mother, is the same dam as Mage and Dornoch, who both ran in the Kentucky Derby the last 2 years. Mage obviously won. Dornoch ran and won in the Belmont Stakes after. To get Baeza into this race, it's like I asked ChatGPT, what are the odds of a dam who can only have one horse a year getting a Kentucky Derby starter 3 years in a row? ChatGPT's mind blew up. It's like, that can't happen. It's like 1 in a million that could possibly happen. So really, really cool story there. Staggie, what do you think about the talent from Baeza, and what does he do entering into this race? I'll add real quickly, he's going to get that 20 post, and I think that's a detriment to him. But what do you think?
I think he's an include. I honestly think he's an include. I mean, the 20 post is just going to be a rough trip. He's going to be way out there, but he was just 5 wide the entire time. Granted, it's 5 horses, but he ran huge against journalism. I mean, he's improving, just kind of ran huge in the Santa Anita Derby. If he can grind out a trip, I think there's enough speed where he's kind of quick enough to get over to the rail at least halfway through the track, so he's not 10 wide into the first turn. This horse is a problem. It depends on who's scratched. If it's a closer, I think he's great. Yeah. If from what there is some rumbling, I see it all over X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, there was a horse that was talked about a lot on this that looks not fresh on workouts. I actually might as well just say it. That's a rumor. I don't the 5. I see a lot of people retweeting it that he looks lame. I'm not an expert on that. I have no idea. I'm a guy that looks at the program every day, and this is my hobby. I love it to death. So there's a lot more experts out there, but if a speed horse is scratched, it's just a detrimental to everything. This could all get scrapped, in my opinion, for myself. So it's a redrawing board that has to go back to everything. So
And I didn't make the Boston connection saying I'm a mile from Suffolk Downs. Puka, who's the dam, last victory was at Suffolk Downs. That was the Boston connection.
Wow.
And I just hit my bet that you would mention Suffolk Downs over 1.5 times. There we go. Got that in there. Just curious, did you ask ChatGPT who's going to win the Derby?
I've been working on using ChatGPT. You can feed it past performances. It's a little wonky. It'll give you like what the first 8 horses look like, and then suddenly it'll grab horses from like the last 5 Kentucky Derbies, and you have to tell it like, where'd you get those horses from? You're not looking at the right race. So I have not done that for this year's Kentucky Derby, but that is some content that maybe we should try.
It would not be a Kentucky Derby episode on Chicken Dinner if I didn't bring up my favorite Kentucky Derby story of all time. I think you both have heard it, but I'm sure somebody watching live or listening in podcast form has never heard this story. And that is the 2017 Derby. We didn't win, but we had a good time. There were about 6 of us that after, I don't know, about 6 hours of boozing, we decided that we were going to bet thousands of dollars on the one-eyed horse named Patch. Didn't go well. We failed to realize that they put Patch in the 20 lane. So he was post position 20, and the eye that he had was facing the crowd and not the field. That didn't really make it into our handicap. So he's running this race and he can't see the competition. He doesn't even know where he's at.
He won for all he knew.
All he's seeing is the crowd going nuts. So he thinks he's doing it. He was 30-1. If Patch would have won, we probably would have made about, I think we probably would have made about 60 grand or something like that. I mean, obviously it didn't happen. That was my lesson. Don't bet the 20, Staggie, and maybe look for a horse with 2 eyes.
To answer your question, Sammy, I just put in the past performances into ChatGPT, and I said, quickly tell me who will win. Journalism is your predicted winner. He checks every major box: form, class, closing kicks, pace setup, and strong connections. So there you go.
See, but this was so much more fun to have you guys on. I mean, I could have just done that and done the show in 15 seconds. Bet journalism, that ChatGPT, man, it's certainly a tool. Can you imagine if we had ChatGPT when we were in college? I wouldn't have written a single paper. It would have just been... But I digress. Anything we didn't cover before we let you guys go? Colin, you first.
It's a long day, so if you have a budget, make sure to pay attention to that, because you can quickly burn through that going as you're leading up, and they're putting 40 minutes between the races. We'll be live on Trust the Profits. You can get your who's the influencer at the Kentucky Derby wearing the nice suit on NBC, or you can swing on over and hang out with us true degenerates and talk to us in the chat, ask us how to play those exactas and how to do that. That's what we're there for. And most importantly, we have a lot of fun. So that will be my little last plug for Trust the Profits.
And there it is again, one more time. If you're watching on video, the YouTube page, almost 16,000 subscribers. I remember when you joined, I think they were about 4,000 or 5,000. So it's been a really nice growth, and they do good stuff there. They got 2,000 videos on how to bet the pony. So check that out at Trust the Profits on X and on YouTube. Staggie, bring us home. Anything we didn't cover?
14 races on Saturday. Pace yourself. Colin hit it on the head. If you don't like a race, or I mean, it's tough as we do this every day. So I even have to tell myself this, and I'm probably not going to follow it. I'm going to play every race like an idiot, and I'm going to probably lose 90% of them. But all you need is one, right? Press your bets. If you love a horse, you don't need to go all in, but play it. Don't just, all right, I'm going to I have $1,000 for today. I'm going to divvy it up, divide it by 14. That's how much I play for race. Don't go, I'm going to speak both words of my sides of my mouth here. Don't go all in early to lose, not have anything on the Derby. My suggestion, play the Derby first, get your bets in early. If you're going to Churchill, those lines are outrageous. Please download apps, play it, play the Derby first, and then the rest are just action, right? I mean, just enjoy the day. It's just going to be a great day for everybody in horse racing. This is our week for the sport. Really enjoy it. I will have any communication. I'm always available on X, Twitter, or hit me up, and I will have grids available for the entire day and the rest of this week. But guys, this is what it's all about. It's all about having fun and enjoying the horses here. I mean, that's why we're in this this basically business of just watching these animals run.
Last comment in the chat out of nowhere. Michael says, "Go Chiefs." Okay, I got you in there, Michael. I don't know where that came from, but I'll allow it. Please follow our guys at the Staggie Man, at CSheehan45 on X, and of course the YouTube page again. Trust the Profits. Gentlemen, you're both very good friends of mine. I appreciate you always making time, and good luck this weekend, and good luck every day.
Same to you, Sam. You rock.
Thank you.
All right, there they go. Colin Sheehan and the Staggie. My guys. Yeah, Staggie was sending me so many pictures of Justify. Look at his legs. Look at him. Look at his junk. I'll never forget that. And he hit him. Guy won. Didn't he win the Triple Crown? Yeah, I think so. Derby, Preakness, and Belmont. Bang, bang, bang. 13th Triple Crown winner, 2018. All right, so you heard it. Colin likes sovereignty. Staggie and Eddie Olczyk like the favorite, journalism. We'll see what happens. But make sure you get your bets in. I appreciate everybody tuning in on Wednesday night. We've got over 900 people watching live right now. And if you're going to listen to this in post, whether it be Apple or Spotify or wherever you just listen to your podcasts, if you enjoy what we do, it's very simple. Hit the like button, subscribe to the show, follow the YouTube channel. It helps the algorithm. It helps me put more money in the kitty so we can make more hoodies that you can buy this fall. That about does it. As I mentioned earlier, I really think Omari and Hampton is a good bet for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Perfect scenario. Great team, great scheme, awesome line, and a coach that's going to run. Omari and Hampton, 16-1, best price you could find. I don't think we're going to see that price by the time we get to week number 1, and I have no issue having a 16-1 horse sit in my pendings. The only other thing I wanted to get to, I would love your support. I am on the Blues tonight. So get me home. I also have the Blues to win the series plus 190. Now, Winnipeg did take the first 2. Blues took 3 and 4. Big game for me tonight. I would love St. Louis to score first, shut that crowd up, and take a 3-2 series lead. So I'm on the Blues. I did bet plus 150 this morning, and I would love for them to put away the Winnipeg Jets. That about does it for the show. Comments are done. Guests are booked. We appreciate everything. We appreciate the listens and the support and the follow. And you know the drill. Cash some tickets. Make some money. And we'll talk to you next time right here on Chicken Dinner.